All right, everybody. I just wanted to share a thing I figured out with the loopers because I was looking at some stuff and uh, I can't remember if I did this originally in Live 10 and now it's Live 11. Um, but I did save it as a template, which I thought was pretty cool. So um, basically, I just want to share how I set this up. And what I did was I wanted to have a looper setup that wasn't too complicated, but that let me do a lot of stuff. And I've seen a lot of different setups on YouTube, but I never saw anybody that did this exact thing. So I'm going to share with you what I did, and just to give you uh, a preview, if you want to dive really deep, um, there is a thing that you can do, which is let's see, yeah, okay. So it's called CliffX Pro, um, or just CliffX, and I'll see if I can show this to you here. So let's uh, let's transition there. All right, look at that. Okay, so CliffX Pro Isotonic Studios makes it, and I'm not sure what they're doing as far as like if it works for Live 12 yet, but it certainly works for live. I'm pretty sure Live 8, Live 9, Live 10, and mostly for Live 11. I actually don't have it set up for myself right now, but um, I used to have it set up in Live 10, and I moved on to doing some other things. But anyway, so let's get back to. Oh, here we go. Man. Oh, I need to be on this monitor now. Here we go. All right. Uh, okay, so you got to bear with me. I'm not that great with OBS particularly yet. So I'm trying. All right. So um, the what I wanted to do, yes, you can use CliffX and you can do some amazing things with it. And actually, if you look here, I think if I just go to clips, you'll still see some of these clips. So like if you look over here, you see a clip and it says bracket go intro and then unbracket LOC loop intro, LOC chorus, go solo, go to the verse, uh, and then here's one that is BPM ramps, or actually here's this one, BPM ramp 8 100. So what that does, if you put that clip in there and works on it, you could put any MIDI track, and we'll just okay, I'll get rid of the guitar. We don't need all that. And then right here, I'll just create a MIDI track real quick. This is just a digression for people that don't know about it. But so okay, so you have it in here. Boom. Now when you click this, wherever the BPM goes, it will ramp over an 8 bar period and end up with 100 at the as the tempo. So there's amazing stuff you can do with it. It's kind of like its own scripting language, and you can get really deep. But if you want to be a super Ableton crazy programmer dude and make Ableton do anything you want, that's the way to go. But I wanted something a little simpler than that, and I wanted to just create some stuff on the fly, and I wanted to be able to just play my instrument and not have to worry about being able to touch my mouse all the time, and I wanted to get away from the mouse and keyboard. But the most important thing that I wanted to do was I wanted to be able to play without. Um, Here's the thing with the Ableton Looper. Um, there's one problem with it, which is that if you use the Ableton Looper device and you change the tempo, uh, then with the looper device, the pitch also changes too, which is just totally crazy. Like Ableton hasn't fixed this in 10 years. Um, it just doesn't make any sense because they're so great with clips in the session view. You can change the tempo all you want, and they've got all kinds of ways to warp it and preserve the pitch while changing the tempo, but not in the looper device. Um, but so there is that limitation, which you do not have with CliffX. You can do anything you want there because it's all in session view, all the things that you're recording. But the other thing is all loopers kind of work similar. Like it's made to. I'll just. Well, you know what? Let's go and look at the actual loopers here, and let's see. Here we go. All right. So here's a your looper. So in this case, here's this looper down here. It's going to record a 1-bar phrase, and everybody does this. They always by default, this thing is. Oops, I don't want to actually record anything here, but by default, it's set up so that it will record whatever your bars are, and then it's set to overdub over that. So what happens is you record this nice, really nice thing. You've got this nice bed of sound. Maybe you've got a nice pad or something, or your first musical idea. And now the other one is going to record on top of that, and then the next one is going to record on top of that again. And that's all great. You can make a nice evolving thing. Only if your first thing was in C major, now the whole composition's got to be in C major because your first thing did that. And, for me, that just gets boring, man. I want to be able to zip to another key and do something else and, maybe come back to that. But I don't want to be stuck by the first thing that I looped and keep looping on top of it. I want to loop something, make an idea, and then do something else. So here's the system I came up with, and then I kind of built a whole set around it. So the first big idea was, okay, I know one looper is not going to do it for me. I don't want to do all the CliffX scripting and stuff right now, because that can be its own trap too. You keep, geeking out over all the stuff. But how about a little system with 4 loopers? And that way I can record one loop, then I can record a second loop that can be over the same thing. And then I still have a couple more loopers to stop the other 2 loopers, stop the first 2 ones, and then record an extra idea. And then I better clear this, whatever's in there. But you get the idea. Record something in here, record something in here, and then stop both of those, record something totally new. Maybe that's going to be like a bridge or something. And then I still have another thing I can record on top of the second idea if I want, or I can just stop all of them and just do a third idea. And between clearing these out and playing them, I found that with 4 loopers, I can pretty much accomplish almost anything I want. With backgrounds and everything else. So at least I'll show you what I did, and we can go more into it. So here's the big thing that makes this work is this the little Behringer FCB 1010. You can get these for, I think, $150 even now, almost new, and you can find them on Reverb for like $100. I've even seen them for as low as $80 US. So depending on your budget, you get a really big bang for the buck with this. There are other fancier ones that cost $300, and different things, and they have a lot more functionality than this. But the lowly Behringer FCB 1010, or not so lowly, I don't know. It's kind of a staple because it is a tank. I mean, it weighs about how much? I think it weighs like 14 pounds, if I'm not mistaken. And it's made of steel, so you could take it to gigs. And these little uh, expression pedals are plastic, so you have to be careful with them. But basically, you can configure this to be able to control all four loopers to do what you want and to do a few other things too. And the big secret, and this is not a tutorial on the FCB 1010, you can find other ones on YouTube, but the secret of it that makes it work is that most people use the FCB for patch changes, which is kind of what it's made for, like a patch change thing, and then two expression pedals, which you can use for like real-time control over effects. That's kind of the normal way to use it. And when you're programming it, usually number one is your program change. I'm talking about when you're in programming mode of it, not when you're actually using it for live playing. Number one is for program change. So you've got the program change you're going to send over that MIDI channel. And then 8 and 9 are your two expression pedals, and which continuous controller thing in MIDI do you want. There's 127 of them, and I think like control channel 7 is volume, and a bunch of different manufacturers have different things set up for their devices to be able to change in real time the amount of delay or the amount of reverb or whatever you want to do. So people use those two, but I did not realize that you also have a note. It will send a MIDI note. You can even configure it. Don't send a program change and send a MIDI note. And you really need to do that and use it that way, because Ableton just, even now, Ableton doesn't seem to really like program change messages too much, you know. So, but it's really made to map MIDI controller notes to almost anything you want. So you've probably figured out in Ableton, hopefully you click MIDI here and then you turn your button on your MIDI controller, or you hit a key on the piano or whatever keyboard you're using, whatever, and bam, you can map to whatever you're doing very easily. So the idea is you use the FCB 1010 to control the things that you want to in your session, and I think I went back. I think I'm going to go back to that other to the FCB real quick for one other thing. So the way I set it up, for better or worse, is number 1, 2, 3, and 4 are all mapped to either recording loopers 1, 2, 3, and 4 respectively, or playing looper 1, 2, 3, or 4 respectively. So if I have like right now, I have nothing in my session. If I press number 1, and then I have this program so that when you hit button 1, it's going to send the right MIDI note that's going to do what we want to do. And I'll show you what I've got, how I've got these mapped. But basically the idea is you've got 1, 2, 3, and 4, so you can record something, and then after you record it, it'll start playing, and then if you aren't happy with what you got, 6, 7, 8, and 9 just clear whatever was in there. So it basically works like 4 separate like loopers at the same time. But you, if you, it's not that big of a deal. It's like, okay, if you screw up, instead of worrying about the undo and all that, you know, because we're not layering a bunch of loops, we're just we're gonna record something cool, and we're gonna win, or we're gonna lose, and we're gonna fail fast, and we're gonna clear it out, and then we're gonna do it again until we got something awesome in that thing. So the heart of the thing is record each of these loopers, and then you can also they will play, and if you click them again, they will stop, and then these you can use to clear, and then I record everything without any effects at all that go into the loopers, but then these you can add effects, and I have them mapped to add the same amount of effects to my live guitar in this case, as well as the loopers. But you don't have to do that. You can treat them differently. You can map these things to anything you want. But I have these just mapped to basically like master reverb and master delay for everything, and that seems to work great. And the reason, the other reason why I do that is because you never know when you get into the hall or the room wherever you're playing. Sometimes you need a little bit of reverb and it sounds great, and sometimes you need a lot more to get the same sound, depending on the room and how many people are in there and what materials are in the room and how just all those things. So I like to have real-time control of the total amount of effect and take it down to nothing if I need to, or if I want to wash everything out, then great, you can do that too. So there is something else that I did which I can't remember, but we'll probably come to it. So let's go back into these loopers. Now on the looper device itself, basically, if you don't know how to do this, let's just go and I'll just make one real quick. Let's create an audio track here. So you create an audio track, and now you go up here to Audio Effects, Delay and Loop, and then you'll see, depending on which version of Ableton you have, somewhere you will find the looper. And in this case, I've got a few set up for different phrases and stuff. And so here's my audio track. And let's just take a 4-bar phrase out. You can double click it. If you've selected the track, you just double click it, and now you've got a looper in here. And the way I set up each looper, and this is kind of important because, see, by default, they've got this plus thing. So what it's going to do by default is record 4 bars. Then it's going to keep overdubbing on each one of those bars. And that's fine to have a lot of stuff, but you're gonna get kind of stuck by your original idea. Also, this song control stuff, I've experimented with it a lot, and I don't want to mess with it live. They just have not done enough work on their looper to really make this work. In theory, it sounds awesome when you see. I've seen some tutorials where they're like, yes, and you just record some material, and then Ableton will decide what what tempo you just played in, and then it'll start the whole session at that tempo. And that's great unless it does not decide what tempo you were at correctly. And now everything else you record is going to be all messed up. So I have a different way that I've kind of kept the tempo and figured that out, which hopefully I'll share in a little bit later on in this video. But for right now, song control. Song control. Yeah, no song control. For tempo control, we want to follow the song tempo. And for quantization, there's 2 ways you can do it. For a lot of people, if you're kind of worried about your time and stuff, you can quantize it to 1/16th note, and that means that whatever's the closest 16th note to what you're playing, it will force it into that, and that way you will know that your loop is in time. If you have it to global, it's going to follow whatever you have here. So if I have it quantize everything to, you know, quarter note here, well, then everything's going to be quantized to the quarter note in this thing. And but if you want to do some free stuff, try sometime just with no quantizing at all, because you can have a couple other things in your session that have percussion in them, so that you're not going to lose where you are in you know, bar one or whatever. You know what you want to play, and it will still record everything faithfully and then start playing it when you want to, but it's not going to interfere with what you're playing and possibly change it and stuff. So either way, it works. Most of the time, I do none now. But if you're having trouble keeping all your loops on the beat and everything, there's no shame in, you know, just you can set your global quantization to like 1/16 or whatever is good for you, and then your looper, you can set to global all the loopers if you want to. But okay, now the other thing you'll notice, if we don't want, okay, so we're going to go record 4 bars. We don't want to keep overdubbing. We go record those 4 bars and then play that thing back. And if you have this big button and you map this to this big button, you hit it once and you're going to record. And then if you notice, you hit it again, now it plays. I'm going to go ahead and let this go all 4 bars. So I haven't recorded anything in there, but then you'll be able to see, like, now it's recording, and as soon as it's done recording, now it just goes straight and it plays, and it's going to start playing at the beginning of that bar 5. So there you go. So that's pretty nifty there, right? And I don't do this. See, if you hit this again, now you're overdubbing. But instead, if you map it to this, you can stop it and you can play, and there you go, or record. So I use these little ones. I don't use this. All right, so you've got your looper. You've set it how you want. Oh, one other really important thing, input and output always, what I do is I set this to never, because what I want to do is I want to have a separate audio channel that's going to have my guitar or whatever I'm playing live in there, and then this looper you won't hear anything from the looper until it's recorded and has some material in it, and then you're only going to hear what comes out of this looper. You're not going to hear your original signal plus the loop. So I have this set for never, and the simple way that you get 4 of the loopers, and once you've got it set like this, how you want, you go, hey, boop, let's, it's, I think, Command G in Mac and Control G in Windows. You group this, and that puts that in a rack for you. And now we have this, and now we can duplicate this 4 times, or 3 more times, and there we go, and we'll just duplicate it again. So now you've got 4 loopers, and depending on how you want to do it, if you want to just go, hey, create chain, I don't necessarily recommend doing this, but you can create a chain. You can rename it dry, let's just say, or original signal, however you want, or name it by your instrument. So now these loopers are not going to play anything unless they've recorded something, but your whatever instrument you're playing live is going to always be coming through on this part of the rack. So you can do it that way too, and you only need one little channel to do that. So that's the basics of setting it up. And of course, you also have all these macros, which now you can map to different things of the loopers. And I think what I'll do at this point is go find, I'm going to just delete this whole audio track that I had, and then I'm going to go and find my loopers. Where are they? Okay. So we'll find the loopers, and now I'm going to just hit the map because there's two parts of the map. The first one is just the device itself. So if I hit map, you'll see where these things are mapped from. I have the volume of all four of these things mapped to something. Let's see what we did here. Oh yeah, okay. So these are mapped to the volumes of the four loopers. So you could take a MIDI controller and just have extra further control over what volume all your loopers are. Because sometimes what happens is you might record something in the heat of the moment that's where the volume is a little bit higher than you usually do, or if you have all four loopers going at once, then you will have some problem with the how loud all the loopers are in relation to your original playing. So I just have this so that I can change the volume of a loop that's like too high, and then be able to just adjust anything if it's really out of whack. So I think that's the most important thing. I did map. One thing I forgot here. If we look at any given looper, pretty nifty. You have the speed over here of the looper, and you've got reverse. So you can actually play back whatever you've played at like half speed or double speed, and you could reverse the direction of something that you've played back. So I had those mapped in the rack, but I really, in practical usage, hardly ever use it that way unless I'm going to be really weird. But so that's the basic mapping of the device itself. And now let's hit MIDI. If you hit MIDI over here, you'll see you see all these notes here and where they're mapped. And I'll skip some of the stuff that is. I have a bunch of stuff that is mapped in the session itself, but I want to show you the stuff with the for the loopers here that I think are more important, at least right now. So all these MIDI notes here, these are you can see here. This is mapped. I wonder if it'll show me. No, it's yeah, okay, it does, right? Yeah, okay. So this is note G0. I used all the really kind of low sort of notes that even if by mistake I had some synthesizer on there, it would just be like when I hit it, I would have one low note once, boom, and I don't think anybody would notice. If you make sure it's on a different, like these are all MIDI channel 2, and all my stuff is set for MIDI channel 1 mostly, so that's a second thing that you can do is if you're sending these notes, make sure they're on a different MIDI channel than the main one that you're using for your synth or whatever else. But okay, so basically these things are, you can just see, all right, stop, clear, stop, clear. I have one that's pedal, which I forget. I think that's a distortion that I added on somewhere on the guitar track, or yeah, the live guitar, if I want distortion or not. But and then you've also got, you know what I'll do? Let's do it this way. If I can do it like that. If you want to be real clean about it, Okay, here we go. So here, you notice the same note, G0, 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 is set for stop on each looper, right? And then what do I got here? Oh, and then these four notes here will clear each individual looper. So I'm gonna have to check something real quick. But okay, but I will have to check something in Ableton. Probably some people are gonna call me out because I can't remember uh, how I played. I think I just okay. You know what? I think what I did is I just recorded it, let it play, and when I'm tired of letting it play, I just clear it. Um, and okay, yep, and then oh yeah, and then this MIDI note stops all clips, and then there's another note that just stops the transport. um, I think for this video, I'm gonna I'm gonna skip a lot of other stuff unless somebody is like really interested. I don't want to get too crazy on everything because the whole point of this was to keep it simple. And the only thing I want to point out that I did that I think it works great is um, on the routing of everything. People have a lot of crazy ways of using channels, and Ableton is very flexible, so you can do a lot of different stuff. But um, I did something I've never seen anybody else really do. And in this particular setup, like you're going to laugh, you'll notice why all four, this device of the loopers is not in the main Ableton channels. It's actually in the mix bus, your return tracks. Um, and then I actually have all these other four return tracks, actually five of them. And what the heck? Well, what I did is um, I was using a sound card that had eight outputs. And so what I did is I had all these different things routing to basically, well, I guess it was five different outputs. So one might go to your normal studio speakers if you're in your place, place of recording. But then let's say you had four other sets of monitors all in a circle all around the room. So you have you're playing stuff in each different um, place all around your head, and there's it sounds really awesome, but I won't get too deep into that. But basically, what you can do, what I did is, so I'm recording. It sounds weird, but it works. So I've got here's the guitar that I'm mostly playing live here, and I've got and the guitar is going to go. It's got its input, and then it's going to go from there. Um, Straight to the master. So whatever I'm playing live is just going, straight to the master normally. But um, anything you want to, in this case, what do I have? Send D, and send D happens to be the loopers. So the guitar at the moment, I've got only going to the loopers here, and it's in the return tracks, and I'm recording stuff in live into that, and it goes into however many loopers it's going to go, and I'm going to have all my material. But then what I do is everything's recorded without any effects, and then I send it from here right back into this track, and this track has all the data from all 4 loopers. And so now in my master, I basically have like my live stuff that's going in, then all the loopers, and then I can also have drums and bass and other things that are part of this set that help me do some stuff. But now with my pedals, let's see if I have this. Okay. Oh, I guess I didn't save it the way this way. So you can have it though, so that your pedals, you can now send whatever you want to MIDI map your effect. Your guitar is going to go to different effects, but all the loopers, you can now send them to any of the different effects that you have that you want. So I have basically 3 different effects here. There's a reverb, and then there's a kind of rhythmical delay that does a few things, and then a sort of pitch thing that I like that you can use as a reverse delay. But then from here, these things now can go to the different, you can send the sound to other places, so you can have effects going in the back of people's heads, however you want to do it. But you don't have to go too crazy with this. But this is the key concept: is that you put your thing in there. The loopers are actually just in the return tracks, but you don't send them to the master. You send them, usually that's what you would do, is you'd kind of like, you'd all the rest of these, like, okay, you send something in here, you add reverb to it, you then send your original signal plus your reverb to the master, and that mixes all the effects. But here we're sending it here and then back there, and then we're adding effects or not to it on the fly. And then we get our mix at the end from either from the master here, or in my case, I'm sending different things to different sets of speakers that I want to do. So so that's basically it in a nutshell. There's one other thing I want to say about live looping that I think really helps. I don't want to hear a metronome when I start to live looping, and my audience doesn't want to either. It's like, oh man, are you kidding me? So and I don't want to set up a thing with a, like I've got a special headset that I'm going to hear the microphone in, and it's totally valid to do that. And if you've got kind of a DJ-ish setup, yeah, you could do that. I didn't want to wear that whole thing and worry about having the, something else going in the cue, and then that's going to be a different output, and then I've got to, all that. But I found a real simple thing that I like doing, which is just this. You kind of pick your tempo that you want to do something in, or you can have something where you have your musical idea you want to play, and you just tap something that's going to tap the tempo. If you have to use your mouse to do it, you can, or if you've got a MIDI controller set where you can just tap the tempo that you're going to be the original idea. And then there's a couple things you can do. I think the simplest way, and I don't have, this is just a little, I moved everything, and I don't know where this file is, but it's just a little hi-hat, like very soft, and the audience can hardly hear it. But even if they did hear it, it's fine. It doesn't really. It's not very loud. You can see this, like I've got the very low volume. It's just, so you set your tempo. You have your little teeny little hi-hat thing, and then you play your first idea. Boom. And now, after you've done recording, now it's playing back, and it'll be a lot louder than those little hi-hats are. And then after that, you could turn the hi-hats off, continue with all your looping, because you've got a loop that's the tempo that you want, and it doesn't mess you up in terms of being able to just loop something on the fly. So I just start with that, and that works. And then I built a whole elaborate MIDI setup for doing more drum patterns and different things, and also this section over here has this is like, okay, clear everything. I don't want to hear nothing. Here's my little hats, the percussion. Here I'm going to have like kick plus snare plus the hats, and here's kick plus snare and a variation, and these are like different variations of things. Or you could MIDI map something that launches a whole scene, and then you could still have your loopers after that. So so that's basically what I wanted to share, is kind of how I set that up. And just to recap, so we don't get totally lost, this was kind of the idea, was to have something that accomplishes some simplicity by making, you click 1, 2, 3, and 4. Each looper just will record, and then it'll play just that when you're done. So you've got your four different loops that are kind of independent, however you want. And then if you mess one up, or you're just tired of one, you use these to clear what's in each one, and then you use these two to add effects. And so that way you have 4 independent loops. You can do pretty much anything you want with it. So just the combination of that plus a little looper, a rack of 4 loopers, which you then can map to do your things. Let's find those loopers. There we go. So just this little thing that maps where you're going to do your recording and all that stuff with the loopers, and sending it from the return track back in there. So everything has no effects, and you can add whatever effects you want to your live or to your loops or whatever. So okay. Hope that was hope that it makes sense. Hopefully you're not more confused, but I just wanted to share that. And I don't have any monetized channel. It's not a big channel. It'll probably be like somebody in 3 years from now will go and say, hey, I just was in Ableton 12, and I figured so that's fine. You're my guy, or girl. If you're just trying to find a better way to make Ableton really do what you want to play live looping. So, all right, thanks for listening, and I guess we'll see you soon.